Okay. Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the Magical Human Show. Just two of us this week, myself and Claire. June is off doing stuff. She'll hopefully be back with us next time. So we've just had a new moon. Is that right, Claire? Was it earlier this week? Tell us about that, please.
We had a new moon on the 29th. The 29th was a very, very magical day. The 29th was the new Rowan moon, and the new moon was in Aquarius. Mercury went into Aquarius. Other planets already in Aquarius is obviously the sun. The sun's going to be there for this month, which is conjunct Pluto. That was the first time that's happened since 1777. So pretty big stuff there. But it's about uh radical change, but not necessarily revolution this time around. This coincides previously with the French Revolution. It also was the Chinese year of the wooden snake. So Wednesday was pretty massive, and it did feel like a very powerful day to me. How did it feel to you?
Um, how has it been this week? I kind of feel this week like I've lost my spiritual way a little bit. So I've been trying really hard to be conscious and aligned. And we had, I think about a week ago, we had that planetary parade where there was like six planets all lined up in the sky. I think you could see about four of them with a naked eye. A couple you needed a telescope for. It was Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars you could see, and then Uranus and Neptune you needed a telescope for. And I'm told by the spiritual community that that was the split off of the new Earth and the old Earth. So it's about spiritual consciousness, not a physical. We're not on a completely different planet, unfortunately. Um, but and I was kind of like, oh, please be in the new Earth, please be in the new consciousness. But then this week I felt really flat and spiritually negative, and I'm just like, nothing works. This is pointless, and I'm feeling really flat and nothingy. But I don't know if that is, in the depths of winter. It's all very grey, so I don't know. It's been an odd week. I don't know if I would say high sort of energies or anything like that. I'm not really feeling, I don't know, maybe I am feeling, maybe that's just how it's manifesting. How about you? Have you been affected by it?
Well, Wednesday was good because I was very conscious of it. So I made sure that I was in a good space to allow things in because I think sometimes, well, I know always, actually, not sometimes, that unless you create space for spiritual connection, it doesn't always come in. I mean, you can see it in synchronicity happening around you when things just flow with ease. And I've had a few moments of that. But in terms of just kind of really hearing what the message is, like if things are challenging. Like for me, I was saying to you that, work is really quiet. I'm doing events and I'm running my circles and they're fine, but the rest of my work is very, very quiet. And that is okay, but also because I've had other things to do, but it is also like, oh, okay, what's that about? And it's so creating the space, allowing the space to be the space and drop into the space to hear the wisdom has been and is always very helpful, I find. Um, I've dropped into so much space, I've forgotten the thread of the conversation.
Whether you were feeling the energies this week on the whole new Earth.
Oh yeah, and I was saying, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I find it really interesting when these declarations are made, and I follow the planetary movements. I'm an astrologer, so I'm reading the ephemeris to work out what's going on and drawing my own conclusions from my own knowledge bank. Um, I have seen Mars and I can see Jupiter very, very clearly in the sky. And Mars made himself very apparent to me. And Mars is in my home sign, so that might be why. But yeah, this kind of consciousness, it lands up sounding like you're doing something wrong if you don't feel like you've jumped into a different place. And I don't like that. I think it kind of creates a divide. It's a bit, yeah, it's a bit spiritually what was the word I was going to use?
Elitist.
That's exactly was the word I was going to use. It's like it
Mm.
involves a spiritual elitism or encourages a perception that there is a spiritual elitism, like some are more worthy than others. And it's all a bit Animal Farm to me and George Orwell and
Yeah.
some are more
Some are more
worthy.
spiritual than others.
Absolutely. And that's just simply not true. All there is, practice and awareness. The rest is up to us as to how much we want to be connected to our divine selves or not, but the ability to do so is the same for everybody. It just is down to desire, really. So,
Well, quite interestingly, yes, it is a word. There was a bit of a mass awakening that happened. I don't know if you heard about this. So it's probably a week. Where are we? A week ago, 2 weeks ago now, maybe. America shut down TikTok. They were taking it away
oh,
because the story was, it was all bullshit. The story was because it was Chinese owned and not American owned. It was getting your data and it wasn't safe and it was a security risk, despite the fact that Meta takes all your data and we already know this. And everyone was like, it's kind of bollocks though, isn't it? So anyway, they shut it down on like a Sunday evening or something, and all the Americans in America, this is just for America, so anyone with an American device couldn't access TikTok, and it was shut down. And it was really interesting because there were a whole load of influencers going, well, seeing as the app's going away, I'm going to tell you that thing I've been selling to you, I've never actually used it. And a whole load of them completely set their business on fire. And everyone kind of left. And rather than go to Meta, which I think is what they were hoping would happen, they went to the Chinese version of TikTok, which is called the Red Book, but everyone calls it Red Note. And they basically all signed up and went, I'm just going to give them my data freely. And people were joking, going, I'm going to put my social security number as my username and give it to my Chinese spy. And everyone, like thousands and thousands of people, moved over to the Chinese app. And then about 10 hours later, it reappeared in America. It was all a stunt. And it reappeared. And lots of people had already gone over to TikTok, and then the Chinese kind of within like a couple of days had whacked up a translation thing so we could all communicate. And everyone's on there watching how the Chinese live. And America is such a huge propaganda machine, allegedly, that they sort of say it's a communist country and everyone's really poor and they all work in sweatshops. And they saw the Chinese people and how they were living, and they've all gone, you lied to me. And it's like, yes. And they've all realized that it was bollocks and how nice, obviously there are places in China that are not
yeah.
well off and all that, but generally the education and the living is good. And so, well, like hundreds of thousands of Americans have seen this change and gone, oh, that was a lie. And they've reopened TikTok, but the algorithm is very controlled. Like you can't search certain things. If you look on an American device and a British device and you search something about something bad Trump has done, nothing comes up on the American one. So they're messing with the algorithm and they're selling. I think they've got to have half of it. It's got to be American owned and people are bidding for it. And it's a whole thing because they want to own it as a propaganda machine. But all these Americans have already now realized what's going on. And there's been a huge awakening. It was kind of cool to watch.
That's massive. Yeah. I mean, I'm just completely out of the loop on things like that, but that speaks to the planets perfectly because Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is in Mercury, trying to bring the truth out in all social media. So the fact that this has happened, and yeah, completely concur. I've got a friend that teaches English in China every summer, and she goes over there, and the pictures she shows me and everything else are just of this beautiful country that, have got full of happy people living a very good life. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Because they
it's,
look after the people, they've got the good food, like they're not allowed to have crap food that's
yeah,
poisoning you. And I'm not sure the healthcare system, but it's available to them. They have this nice standard of living. And
not
now the Americans have
us.
gone, hang on a minute, we're the third world country. And China see America as turning into a third world country.
Well,
It's really
yeah.
interesting.
Well, the astrology, if you listen to Pam Gregory, she loves to go on about how kind of America's coming down and it's going to lead to our downfall. Again, yes, great, but depending on how sensitive you are, just, be mindful of what you allow into your consciousness as to managing your mental health, because for some people that's going to push them over the edge. So
Yeah.
just be mindful. God, that's so interesting. So yeah, and then all of the astrology, like the Rowan moon is happening where it started on Wednesday, this enlightenment and having all of these planets, in Aquarius, which is about community, humanity, friendship, but also original thinking and like media, social media, all that kind of stuff, and technology. That's fascinating. It's like the truth, the reveal, all this, and this business of you know, these people I watch, I've now joined TikTok because I put my videos up there, but I put my videos up there and TikTok saying to me, you need to add in more kind of, you know, gimmicks and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm just going to tell it how it is and we'll just carry on that way. And, you know, if people find that useful, great. And if they don't, they don't. But I find it useful saying it. So, but I watch other people, like some people are mesmerizing in their just need for this kind of attention and what they're doing with their bodies or themselves. I'm just like, what is going on there? You know, who's
Mm.
told you that this is a valuable way for you to, you know, make your service to the world? It's like, come on.
Yeah. But some
But
people's whole
anyway,
livelihoods are on it. So I don't know how, but somehow you can monetize it.
yeah, you can. You get
Some people's
invited to events.
entire livelihood is on TikTok. Of course, they shut it down, took it away. Well, that's, you've taken people's livelihoods away. And of course, then the people that admitted, that the influencer that admitted then lost all their business
Well,
and
of
all freaking
course.
heck.
But
But
and it
it,
that's just crazy. And maybe that was always, well, in my world, that was always meant to happen so that that person realized there was more to life than that and thought and went and got a better way of finding a way to contribute. But the impact of TikTok and the influence it has over our young people, the impressionable people like my children, who, especially my daughter, branding, you know, what's appropriate, how to show up there, everything. It's just awful. It really does need to be controlled. I hope they bring in the law that says no smart devices to kids under the age of 16, because I really don't feel that until you're 16, your brain should be exposed to all the bollocks that's available to them. Unfortunately, it's too late for my children, but for everybody else's, hopefully, it'll be a good thing. In all of that and in all of this, I made some space for myself on Wednesday and went and had a massage, which for me is like the biggest gift out there. And I got a kind of like, I was thinking things over because I had the space to do so. And I was thinking about this. I'm always looking, my brain can't help but separate, like try to make sense of astrology and the human condition and human people. And it's like when people are looking at data and they can see like things that look the same and notice trends and patterns. For me, it's humans. It's like I look at humans and I notice trends and patterns. Anyway, the latest one was about yin and yang people. Did you watch my little thing on
I
that?
didn't. I saw it and tagged it to watch it later. Give us
Fine.
a
Because then
summary.
I'm not boring you, basically, is the ultimate thing. So I was noticing that there were people, one person in particular online who was just expressing how um, depressed they were at the moment, you know, finding things really difficult, earning less than they were when they're in the, you know, earlier careers. I'm the same thing because I've changed career, you know, and I was just like, you know, what is that? What's that about? You know, what would help look like to support somebody like that? And then it kind of spun off into recognizing that there are, in the duality of human life, there are yin people and there are yang people. And yin people are people who have predominantly more water and earth, like in their sign. So they're more receptors. So they take things on, they hear things, etc. And yang is the projectors and the more light. And we have lived this American world, this British world. Our Western culture is very yang. Go
Mm.
out there, get it, be happy, be the light. Don't look at the shadows, don't look into your feelings. Just man up, get on with it. It's all very much that kind of voice. I don't know why I had to raise my voice to express that, but it's just channeling a bit of yang there. And the yin, the feeling, introspective, you know, quiet, you know, the more take my time to think about this, more kind of grounded elements, feelings elements have been regarded as weaknesses, you know, not things to celebrate. The melancholy is and depression is seen as something awful to be solved and medicalized and all of this stuff because the yin should be like the yangs. The yin should be happy, you know, it should be like, you know, a Disney movie all the time, and it's just simply not. If you're yin, you are more likely to be moody, you're more likely to get depression, you're more likely to be all of these things because you're absorbing your own energy, but your energy of the people around you and the world at large. Okay, you with me so far? So then in this yang world, because the yangs have got out of control with the greed, and we can say that Donald Trump is a perfect example of that. The greed, the selfishness, the like really all about kind of, the projection, all of that is got toxic. It's very toxic. There's no real, I mean, even with them stopping the farming in the UK, and building houses on top of it is all very kind of like, we don't want you to have a connection with the land. We want you to be like machines that we can just basically use like rats in a lab to go around the wheel and keep, the elite going. And that's largely what we've been doing anyway. Um, the yins have been really more prone to depression than they ordinarily would be because the world is a duality. Whatever happens, there's always balance. People say, oh, we're out of balance. We become out of balance in our bodies or our minds, but actually there is always balance. It's just the balance doesn't feel particularly harmonious. It feels uncomfortable. But so the yins have got heavier as the yangs have got more kind of greedy. That's what's happened. And so what has happened, how that is manifested is made, as I said, the yin's more depressed, not just with their own stuff, but by tuning into what's going on in the wider world, etc. Just picking up the general, and even if you're not tuning in, you can just pick those vibes up wherever you go. You can just you'll be doing that. And if no one has said to you, this is the way you are, and you need to emotionally process what you're carrying,
Mm.
and you are going to be more prone to carrying stuff. So this is the way you emotionally process so that you can release and let go. They just get heavier and heavier and heavier, which is why it spirals out of control into depression and people don't even know. I mean, that's why people often with depression will present as they can't get out of bed. They can't do anything because they are literally full, weighed down by misery, which is not necessarily all their own energy. So, okay, that is what I wanted to say about the yin and yang thing, I guess. And my message with that is, you have to take personal responsibility if you're a yin for understanding and emotional processing, which does involve, going to counselors, therapists, etc., to help you with that process often, because it's not within our culture. People don't say to you when you're little, oh, you seem to be more sensitive than other kids. You're like this, and that's absolutely fine. So when you come home from school, you'll need a decompression time, and let's go and spend some time on earth. And it's okay if at the weekend you just feel like we need to get you into nature. You should be in nature every day. We don't have those kind of practices. They probably do in China.
Mm.
Because all of this kind of intel and kind of way of dividing people up is the Chinese, is in their culture, this understanding. So I just wanted to say, I guess that for yins, it's okay to recognize that you're moody, depressed, more likely to be depressed and melancholic and serious, and you don't have to be Krusty the Clown to, be a success in the human world. And things are really heavy at the moment. So, some of that won't be yours. Some of that will just be the wider thing. And also, what happens when people don't process the emotions, and if you're yin, you don't have a choice about this. You will be absorbing this stuff. People are getting cancer and dying, and it's as clear as day. And yes, that sounds like a big lump, but a jump even could be a lump, but it's not. It's kind of like that's what happens. If things get trapped in the body, it distorts the harmony in the organ. Things don't work properly. The cells start contorting, distorting. They communicate with each other because they're all connected, and poof, down go your dominoes. So, what do you think of that? As a mental health expert.
As a mental health person and probably as a yin. Um, yeah, so I spend a lot of time doing energy work and trying to protect my energy and protect the energy of my space. Um, and I think that's much easier in the summer when it's easier to be out. I spend much more time in the garden, much more grounded. For the winter, I'm inside, although I have wooden floors, and that was like a conscious choice. There's something about it being easier to ground when there's more sunlight and daylight and outside time. And in the winter, during the wintering time, I'm very insular. I don't want to leave the house.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around
But
people.
that is grounding. You don't
Mm,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
be on Earth you're on Earth on your wooden floorboards. There's Earth
Mm,
in your house.
yeah, yeah. The energy does feel pretty heavy, but
Yeah.
I'm having to limit the stuff I look at and read about America because it can get you in a really dark place. And then I sit there going, it's going to be fine. I know they're doing stuff behind the scenes. It's all going to come burning down because, empires last for 20 years or something. They're always on a cycle, and America's on like 219 or something like that. So it is the end of its cycle. It's happening, and I'm trying to see it as I'm living in interesting times, not oh my god, it's the end of the world, because I have no control, I have no influence. I'm not going to ring him up and go, Donny boy, pack it in. He's not going to listen to me, you know. So it's about where you have control and influence, and trying to make sure that your world, your world is a good space. But then I don't want to be individualistic. The problem with the Western world is we're individualistic, and that was like a thing from Thatcher kind of brought that in, and it's all about your own. It's taken away community, and China is much more community driven. And actually, the answer to all our problems is community. So if we can fight against that by rebelling and forming community, I think we'll be in a much better place. Like learning to grow our own food, having little community gardens, because they're taking the farming away and poisoning the food supply. The more you can grow your own, the better.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think we should all move to China. I'm quite up for that.
I think I'm too old. I don't think they'd take me now. I have said to my son, he's having to do with French and Spanish at school. I said, well, they should be teaching you Chinese because that would be useful. And it's spoken in a lot of the world. I said, you need to emigrate when you're older, kid. Get out of here because this is
Oh, if you're too old, that means I'm too old. Is there an age limit on emigration to China?
a lot of places there are. I haven't actually looked for China because the language scares me in that it's a completely different alphabet. And I think my brain just cannot compute.
Oh, that's true. I hadn't even thought about that.
I have been on Red Note. I have joined Red Note and been trying to learn a bit of Chinese. Um, but it because it's pictures, I can't relate them, and I find that really hard. And I think I'm too old. But yeah, like when Brexit happened, I looked at Canada. I think you had to be 30, and you've got to be healthy and be in certain jobs and things like that. And I just think I think it's too late for me.
And
Um,
me, clearly.
I'm
Wow.
encouraging the child to maybe think about when he's older.
Well, also, I think though we are, and that is the other thing is one has to surrender to a higher. It's very helpful to surrender to a higher realm than ours, to surrender to the fact that we are not the necessarily the architects of our own life plan. The journey, yes, to some degree, but the plan about what we're here to do and serve and where we're at is often circumstance like the spirits make us where we're at. So you're living there because that's where you're supposed to live at the moment. I'm living here because this is where I'm supposed to live at the moment. And that is, surrendering to a higher level is very beneficial. So spirituality is, I would say, the key to mental like happiness or mental stability, because if you can get there and work a relationship with that higher power and then be able to tune into your own vibrations, frequencies, and messages, you can often find a way out of things.
Mm.
But it's knowing how to do it. But it's
It's
very important.
interesting you said about this is where you're supposed to be at the moment, because part of my spiritual flatness is I don't think I'm supposed to be living here right now. And I'm looking at all the different avenues to get me to where I think I should be. And it's all falling flat and I'm seeing blockages. And I think that's where I'm sort of resisting. Because normally I'll be like, it'll happen how it's supposed to happen. I'll end up where it's supposed to end up, but I'm getting impatient. It's like, I know I am not supposed to be here. Why isn't it happening? And I'm getting in that kind of frustrated spiral at the moment. I don't know,
I
it's
guess
my
I know I get that because Mars is retrograde in Cancer, which is all about the home and kind of, the family and everything. And I have the same thing where I'm kind of like thinking, oh, it would be a lot easier if we lived, if we downsized, we did this, we did that, then it would be so much, better, etc. But things aren't kind of, I'm not ready for that step yet either, but it just kind of like things is just trusting that everything will unfold the way it needs to unfold without super control stuff. Because what I'm hearing from both of us is a flatness from frustration as opposed to a peace of mind from just flowing. It's like, I want to make this happen. But
yeah,
if the
we're
door
trying to
doesn't
control it.
open, and I really am living that. If the door doesn't open, like when the computer sometimes just decides I'm not going to have a signal, it's like you're not having a signal right now, even though I am connected on a Ethernet cable. So there is no excuse for that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave my desk and I'm going to go and do something else. And so I keep just responding to that and trying to get out of this cycle of this mindset of You must be doing this. You must sit in front of your computer for 8 hours a day because otherwise you've not been productive. And it's like, hang on, you work in an esoteric field. Why would sitting in front of a computer 8 hours a day actually fundamentally feed that?
Yeah.
But I'm trained. I'm a rat. I'm not actually, I'm a rabbit. But yeah. So Chinese Year of the Snake, going on to
Yeah.
that, is all about letting go of the layers.
Okay.
And if we think about sneakiness, snakes don't have any limbs, so snakes often have to generally move forward. They're not very good at going backwards, but when they move forwards with side vision, so they can't see in front of them. So they don't get fixated on the future. They're very much in the here and now, and they're very present, which is what spirit wants from us, to be present, to be feeling. And that's how they work out what's going on, is by sensing it in their bodies. They're considered, they don't rush at things unless they're under attack. They are not ostentatious. They like to slither around in the background. They don't actually like people knowing what they're up to. So it's not bright lights, big city for the Year of the Snake. It's very much considered, getting through the undergrowth in a safe way, looking after yourself. When they shed their skin and they grow, they don't jump on and go, "Hey, look at me, here's my old skin." It's like somebody will find it, happen upon it, and go, "My God, what's that?" And it's a snake skin. So it's, yeah, it's to be mindful of those characteristics. And with it being wood, it really is asking us to set the structure. So if we have, from that 5 planet alignment, gone into a higher state of consciousness, that is wonderful. But get your ducks lined up. So make sure that what you have has legs. And what is funny at the moment is Venus, Neptune, and Saturn are all in Pisces. So what's happening is that Venus and Neptune are helping us create all these loving, wonderful fantasies and expectation, and Saturn is just dissolving everything that doesn't have foundations. It's like coming behind, going, that, that not going to happen because you haven't got it yet, or you haven't put this, hasn't got legs. It's all very well for you to have this manifestation and idea about what you want to do, but actually, is it really practical? Is that going to put food on the table? So there's a lot of that going on, which is quite amusing. I find it amusing anyway. Maybe I've just become a planet nerd. Also, this week, the good news is I have written a calendar. Did I tell you this?
You were telling me you were going to write one. You do know it's the end of January. Is
I know, but
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't get my act together. I get
Okay.
next week on Monday. I've only ordered a print run of 50 because
Okay.
I was like, this not, I've missed the thing, but I have got orders for them and I think people will continue
Okay.
to buy them,
Okay.
because they are a combination of astrology, British astrology, and Celtic tree moons. So they explain what the flavor of the month is and the themes of the month, the major planetary stuff, and then give you rituals and ideas of things to do. So it's a magical calendar. It's
No.
called the So Above, So Below, because I've got this planetary stuff and I've got the Earth stuff. So I'm very
Okay. And is
pleased.
that available on your website?
It will be.
Okay.
It's not at the moment. It will be. My website is going through. I've done lots of stuff actually. My website, I've just rebuilt one with some help, and I'm in the process of getting rid of the other one so that I have it all in one place. So I've got a fantastic training website now where people can get certificates for doing my courses.
Oh, lovely.
Um,
So is this kind of like a trial run for the calendars this year, and next year you will do the big,
Yes,
get
because
them
next
out for
year
them kind of
I've
thing?
already got Treadwell's, which is I think it's Treadwell's in London. One of them, Treadwell, is it Treadwell's or Watkins? I've already got one of them has said that they'll take some, and that's one of the most famous magical bookshops. So
Yeah, good, good. That sounds very exciting.
I am very
Where
excited.
can we, you said you've got orders. Where can one place an order?
Just tell me you want one.
All right, okay. And how much are they? And are you posting them out in the
Yes, I'm
next week
putting
or
them
so?
out, and they are £20 plus postage.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
yes, people can
Nice
buy.
little plug.
Yes, a pardon, nice little
Nice
plug.
little plug. Plug it in. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, so yeah, but I think it's important for people to make that distinction of, or that connection, sorry, of what's going on up there is affecting you down here, and not to think that you are just on your own in your yininess or your yanginess. And we have the yins, once they've done the emotional programming and clearing, have to help the yangs to build a whole new yang world, really, because we need the yangs, but we need the yangs to be more kind of
True.
like grounded, honest.
Yes,
It's
there's a lot of
nice.
dishonesty going on at the moment.
It's just it's all
Mm.
very murky.
When will it clear? When can we expect a shift?
I think that's an interesting question. I think that it's a slow process. Everyone said the world wasn't going to suddenly change overnight. Certain things will change rapidly, like that TikTok example with Red Note. That would have done an awful lot of work. As you say, that's an awakening because people will be like, my God. And that will still be living on in the minds of people. But these things take a while to percolate. So I would say that, 2025 is not going to be, well, it's a year of the snake. So lay low, continue to grow, slough off those skins when you outgrow them, but don't make a song and dance out of telling everybody else about it. Maybe a private party for one. And and remember about being present, staying, keep this 180 vista on your life, Well, it'd be
Yeah,
360 actually, except it's not
yeah.
forward. So,
Okay, interesting. Okay, on that note, is there anything else you would like to add to this conversation?
no, if you want to go and do any of my courses, go to the Oily Witch Academy, which is the name of the address. I mean, the website, oilywitchacademy.co.uk. That's my new one. It'd be great if you wanted to check it out and let me know what you think of it. I think it looks a lot better. If you want a calendar, get in touch. And if you just want anything from me, just get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. What about you, Taylor?
Um, leave me alone. No, I'm kidding.
Don't go to Taylor.
Well, I'm only doing the counselling 1 day a week because I've upped my office hours because I needed more money to pay the bills. And I am kind of filling up and training as a supervisor, which is a journey, shall we say. Um, so I'm kind of enjoying the bit of time I have got at the moment. So I'm just kind of coasting along, looking forward to spring.
Yeah.
And we will meet again in a couple of weeks around the next full moon. So we
Which
had a
is
3 week
around
break,
that'll
realigned.
be the Friday the 14th. That'll be Valentine's Day.
Oh, great. Got any plans? Anything exciting for Valentine's Day?
I'll tell you then.
Are you a celebrator of the Valentine's Day?
Well, a bit, but my husband says he wants to cook for me. And when he said he wanted to cook for me, I said, "Oh, let's say goodbye to this." And everyone can not know that story.
So is that a nice thing or is it a
I'll tell you
threat?
in a minute.
Okay, fantastic. All right, then, everyone, we will see you in a couple of weeks around the next full moon. Take care.